Hello and welcome to our inaugural episode of the wonderful universe of This Ain't No Game, the weekly series where we explore the movies that explore the video games that explore our hearts. I'm Ryan Davis, and I'll be your guide through this cinematic gauntlet, which we'll be kicking off with perhaps the most fondly remembered intersection of video games and film, Tron. Now, a lot of people have romanticized their recollections of Tron, myself included, so I hate to be the proverbial slug in the arcade machine here, but if you look past the thick patina of warm nostalgia that coats our memories of Tron and judge it strictly as a movie, it can be pretty tough to watch. Now, don't get me wrong, it's still a very striking-looking production, but the pacing is led and the mythology is simultaneously dense and vague, and the acting and dialogue clearly take a distant backseat to the film's high-concept premise.
Do you think we can merge with this memory bit? Yes.
And boy howdy, film premises do not get much more high concept than Tron. It all starts when roguish computer programmer Kevin Flynn, played by Oscar winner Jeff Bridges, gets his video game ideas stolen by fellow NCOM employee Ed Dillinger, played by perennial British stick-in-the-mud David Warner, whose performance here alternates between sleepy and shouty.
Doing our business is what computers are for.
This theft leads to Dillinger's meteoric rise within NCOM, a massive corporation that manages to have its fingers in businesses ranging from video game production, defense contracts, and the experimental digitization of oranges, all while apparently employing like 8 people.
Hey, Alan? You think I could have some of your popcorn?
Yeah, sure.
Meanwhile, there's a whole abstract, trippy world inside the computer where anthropomorphic programs fight against Dillinger's oppressive master control program, which controls the electronic world like a fascist police state, kidnapping programs who profess a religious belief in the user.
Hey, look, you guys are gonna make my user, Mr. Henderson, very angry. He's a full branch manager.
Great. Another religious nut.
Assimilating those whose functions it can use and sending the rest to be grist for the game grid.
You can't even travel around your own microcircuits without permission from Master Control Program.
In an attempt to break into the MCP, Flynn gets himself plunged into this electronic world where he has to team up with some sympathetic programs to escape the game grid and take down the MCP.
Get there!
Flynn's most significant ally is Tron, a messianic security program designed by fellow NCOM programmer Alan Bradley. Both Alan and Tron are played by Bruce Boxleitner.
Alan.
Where did you hear that name?
Well, that's your name, isn't it?
Whose deep tan, strong jaw, and general state of physical fitness conspire to make him categorically unconvincing as a nerd.
Great.
While his stiff, stoic presence as Tron just makes him kind of dull for the majority of the film.
This code disc means freedom.
Now that's a lot of premise to process, and the film takes its sweet-ass time making any sense of it. By my calculations, this movie is roughly 30% establishing shots. This is a movie action-packed with people walking from one location to the next, and once they get there, engaging in exceptionally dry, jargon-filled conversations. Even when this is happening inside the electronic world, which is where the vast majority of the film takes place, it's still boring. It just looks like it's happening in front of an airbrushed Trapper-Keeper folder. The parts of Tron that everyone remembers so fondly are the game grid sequences. This is where Tron plays the deadliest game of ultimate frisbee with the MCP's evil minions, and where the iconic light cycle battle takes place. These sequences are still surprisingly thrilling, and while the CG from Tron looks pretty primitive by today's standards, it holds up on the strength of its abstract design style. Still, these exciting action sequences account for maybe 10 minutes of Tron's total 96-minute runtime. They also take place pretty early on in the film, leaving the back half of Tron to be filled with Flynn and the gang's colorful, yet shockingly uneventful journey to the core of the Master Control Program. While I know for a fact that the 20th anniversary DVD release of Tron includes deleted scenes, I couldn't shake the sense while I was watching Tron that there was absolutely nothing on the cutting room floor. By the time the movie trudged to its anticlimactic and oddly abrupt ending, I was pretty sure that I had seen every single frame the filmmakers had shot. And as well as the CG effects in Tron still hold up, the non-CG stuff hasn't aged particularly well. Specifically that telltale circuit board glow that all the characters inside the electronic world have. In order to achieve this effect, all the live-action stuff had to be shot in black and white, which has the net effect of making all the actors look like they're caught in some kind of bizarro, retro-futuristic, silent film time warp. While there are some key sequences where the filmmakers thought to hand animate all of the glow effects, the glow is weirdly inconsistent and the characters look really disconnected from their backgrounds because of it. It's ironic because it's clear that it took a lot of people, a lot of time and energy to make something that looks as half-assed and kludged together as this does.
Well, you guys know what it's like. You just keep doing what it looks like you're supposed to be doing, no matter how crazy it seems.
So Tron might be a pretty laborious cinematic experience, which the ravages of time have done no favors. But to be fair, it was one of the first films to feature a significant amount of CG, a particularly impressive feat for 1982. And even 28 years later, its stark, backlit visual style still informs our collective vision of what cyberspace should look like. That Tron Legacy, a big-budget, big-screen sequel, is being produced now, speaks volumes to the lasting impact Tron has had, even beyond our particular little video game subculture. And that's going to do it for this week's edition of the wonderful universe of This Ain't No Game. Be sure to tune back in next week when we'll answer this important question.
Shall we play a game?
Ba-dum, ba-ba-dum.